What do
Need
you
to go
mean
to
when it
Insta
goes
when
on?
it comes on the camera again, you're live, and I
Just
need
go
to go
like
to
this for me.
Instagram.
That will really give it to me. Hi, folks. Anahata Graceland here with Talking Dog, and Arturo Chileri is with me. We've got a wonderful visitor today that you're familiar with. She's been with us on and off, and that's Samantha. And then we also have a visitor today to talk about the gut health of our dogs. And this is just a really, really important topic, and people don't understand. And often they don't, because what happens is, as a young age, dogs can eat pretty much anything, just like humans, right? And nothing shows, no damage, nothing that they're doing shows. And unfortunately, over time, it can do damage that's not recoverable. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and helping you understand what'll be helpful to you in the long term with your dog. Okay, also, I want to share with you. Um, this is my little Snowbo, by the way. She's my service dog. I'll put her down for a moment. And you're going to see my family dogs around me here. But I wanted to share with you that we have a very exciting thing coming. You may know me with Mr. White. I've had Mr. White for 16 and a half years. He passed this about 3, 4 months ago. It was very tough. But he was a remarkable dog and in many, many ways. And I won't go into it all right now, but I do want to tell you how remarkable he has been, to the degree that it inspired me to create Mr. White AI Buddy. Now, this AI is going to be really spectacular for people who have dogs, for dog lovers and people who really want to have um, uh, records and keep all the info on their dogs, their photos, uh, their stories, pictures from their family. Everything under the sun about your dog will be able to be kept by Mr. White. And Mr. White will also be able to tell you when you last saw your vet, what they did, what records, what testing that you had, etc. It'll save you money, because many, many times veterinarians, you can turn it on now. Thank you. Arturo's helping me. I want to show you what I'm talking about. We're not quite open for business yet, but I do want to show you. And if you'd like to participate in it, I would love for you to um, just drop me a note below. Say Mr. White. That's all you need to say is Mr. White. And we will grab you up, contact you, and get you in as one of the founding members of Mr. White. So I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to make it pretty large here for you. But this is Mr. White. Secrets of Paws and Humans Revealed, they are, because he is the Yoda of the dog world. And he's going to be able to answer questions. You're going to have queries about all sorts of things that are really good to know about the dog world. And then also, as I was sharing earlier, you're going to have an account. You can have an account. There's a free Mr. White, and then there's a membership. And in the membership, you are allowed to put anything and everything in that account. And as you do that, Mr. White will help you even organize it. For instance, if you say, I'm going to see all the vaccinations Charlie has had in his entire life, then that would be great. And he'll show it to you. If you want to say, please show me anything that came from 19 or let's say 2020 in the photos. Now, if you put them in and you said 2020 on them, it will pull down everything. It's really, really special. Mr. White is really there to meet every need you could possibly have in the dog world that I can think of. I'm looking forward to getting input back from people as soon as we open our doors. We are on X right now. It's Mr. White AI Buddy, although we're not ready really for the kinds of things I'm talking about now. The website is almost done, and it'll take just a week or two more. But again, I want to invite you, participate participate. Mr. White is really, really fun. You've got both incredible good input on dog care. One of the other things Mr. White's going to do is do what has been most important to me, which is finding products that really work instead of so much of the world being filled with products that just really are terrible. They don't last, or they're made of crap, to be honest with you. They don't work, etc. And so what we're going to do is you share with you with starred items the things that I use in my kennel that are fabulous, that I've used for many, many years. As some of you may know, I've been a breeder for over 50 years. So I really am aware of what could happen in terms of buying. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on products that never worked and I just ended up chucking out. And some were actually super dangerous. And so you really want to be careful with what you buy in the dog world. There are no regulations about them, etc. So Mr. White's going to help guide that process for you. And also, he will share products that I don't use that are broader that you may be interested in. However, he'll be checking their reviews online. So he'll be giving you a curated set of products that come from the world around us all, where people have already been generous enough to give their feedback about those products and tell us about them. So yeah, that's a little bit about Mr. White. I think you're going to enjoy him. I hope you do. And now back to the show. Oh, wait, let me just show you one other quick thing. As you know, we have this awesome, awesome bundled thermos. You can feed and offer water to your dog, right? You have two attached bowls. And then, of course, I can drink anytime I want, along with my dogs, which I do all the time in the car. It's stainless steel. Good. The top part goes in the dishwasher. The bottom part you just wipe out very simply uh with a rag very, very easily. Okay, dears, let's move on. I'd love to introduce Sam to you. Oh, by the way, you can get that with a link below. Everything will be the link below if we talk about anything. Okay. So you're going to move now to we're working to move now to Samantha. And I want to bring Samantha on and share with you that you have to make it smaller first, probably. There we go. There you go. Oh, nope, didn't. Is it up here?
No, it was down there.
Oh, okay.
Below
There you
this
go.
thing.
So Arturo will figure that out while I tell you a little bit about Sam. Sam is an absolute beloved royal family here with Royal Frenchel. She has a number of dogs herself, um, and sort of became a pro in her own dogs over time. And then also, Samantha, her life's focus is really helping and healing for both pets and animals, and to a degree, right? She's not doing that necessarily publicly, but she has that great love. And then also, she does do that as a business with other people. She supports people in wellness. So I just thought I'd introduce her a little more thoroughly in terms of her background a bit and say, welcome, Sam. Nice to see you.
Hi guys, it's great to be here, and I'm excited about Mr. White and learning more about that platform that feels like it's going to be very supportive and informative and fun, really
Yeah.
fun. It almost
I think it
feels
will
like,
because of the community that'll go around it. We're going to be building a great dog lovers community, and hopefully, we're able to help with impacting the pet industry over time. That's one of the great goals I have. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say it almost feels like a living journal or like a living, growing time capsule that you can go back and almost page through. Um, but also, again, I'm just trying to get a feel for what it actually is, but also have all those memories, keep all those
Yes.
memories that you accumulate with your dog along the way.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I have a book coming out called The Way of the Dog. And then there's a subtitle. I don't need to get into it, but The Way of the Dog. And it's really all about developing a soulful bond with your dog, utilizing a lot more of the intuitive base as a foundation for that relationship. And in it also is this really special journal that I've created over the years, and that is going to actually be part of Mr. White's awareness. And he will help people and support people in utilizing that journal inside Mr. White. So in your membership account, you'll be able to actually track the development of your dog, and you will be able to go in and set it up. Let's say you have a 5-year-old dog and set it up so that it goes back. You can flood it with everything you've had in 17 different places and put it in. And you can gather, videos and photos and things like that from friends and family that were precious to you that you really just sort of never got around to getting together. And Mr. White will actually organize all that according to the journal. So that's really special. And I hope it really helps to, make the life of the dog with your that you have, that you are so beloved, is so beloved, to have that actually archived in a way that, keeps it alive over time and also shares it with future generations. It's really fun. If you think about going back and seeing some of the things from your great grandmother or your grandmother and our grandfather, and seeing things that were important to them. Well, if you go back and see Mr. White, and the journal that people make for your children, they'll have a ball reading the stuff that was important to you and things. Yeah, yeah.
So it just makes me think about the practical aspects of um, learning about our dogs. If you get a dog when it's a puppy, to kind of be able to monitor, again, the very basic things of, is it going to the bathroom well? Is it eating well? Is it getting all of its vaccinations, and just all the very basic practical things. But then there's the other aspect of not what we learn about our dogs, but what we learn from our dogs.
Right.
So what do you have to say about that part?
Well, actually, in the journal, there's a lot of that in the journal as well. So the journal not only covers things like what you're naming there, but it also then flips into, how is that affecting your life? What kinds of things have you awakened to in the relationship with your dog, but also in your life in general as a result of it? I know my life has changed dramatically because dogs have been in it over the last 50 years, things that I never would have really awakened to without them. And the biggest one is leadership, how to lead in a way that really creates an environment to bring people forward with their dreams, not just what I want from them, but with their dreams. And so different things like that are going to be really fun to see. And that's one reason why I think it's so fun to do, because the archive later, for those who are down road in generations, even one generation will really enjoy seeing the things that happened to our lives as a result of the relationships with our dogs. Yeah, yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that part. What I think I just heard you said was that you were learning leadership from your dogs, or from your relationship with your dogs.
Absolutely. You know, Royal Frenchels initially, and I can't do this today, so what I share with you was in the first 20 years of Royal Frenchels development. And if I could do it today, I would, but I just can't. And I'll share what's going on with that. But essentially, Chihuahuas are a very, very incredible breed. They're really, really unique. They're one of the last pack breeds in the world. Um, I'm so sorry they keep getting messed with by, apple head development, and changing the breed the way that they do is so sad because they really suffer from it. But in any event, right now I'm talking about their use in Royal Frenchel. Basically, I always had a pack of 5 Chihuahuas. And people thought, oh, Chihuahua's in the Royal Frenchel breed. No, it is not, and never has been. However, I use Chihuahuas because they are so great, just phenomenally great with leadership. Um, they, as pack dogs, they have a very clear set of roles in the pack. So the five dogs always had their roles very clearly present there. And I just want to quickly say, welcome, Kathleen Langsdale. Welcome, love. So
Thank you.
yeah. So we're talking right now a little bit about what we've learned from our dogs, and then we're going to look forward to getting into gut health and how important that is for them as well. So I'll be right back with you, but lovely to have you with us. Kathleen is an expert in the dog food world, and has been in it for, gosh, what, almost 10 years now? 10 years. All right. And so, yeah, we'll be right back with you. I'm going to just finish up here with Samantha and then there. So anyway, what I shared was that I had these five Chihuahuas, and as their natural innate abilities unfold, their pack leader would treat those puppies around them significantly appropriately according to their pack. So I would use this pack of five Chihuahuas to raise my puppies. And from 5, 6 weeks old, we would sit on the floor with my pack of Chihuahuas and all the Royal Frenchel puppies. And the Chihuahuas would be herding them, moving them, telling them who could eat, who couldn't, and putting them into a sense of structure as a group of a litter that was really phenomenal and fun to see. So, uh, so, um, not only do they do that, but they teach a reasonability that is phenomenal. And that's where I came in terms of my learning. The reasonability of, the world teaches such, pack leadership, be the alpha, do this, make sure you have, make sure your dog knows your boss.
Just continue on, please.
And so could you just, let's see, I'm just going to put Sam back on here. Let's see, there we go. And and uh and so what I learned from the Chihuahuas and the Royal Frenchel interactions is that you don't need to have all that power stuff. You just need to be very reasonable and very purposeful with caring for the whole. So Lucy, who was the head of that pack, Lucy and Mo were the two alphas of that pack. And Lucy, of course, bitches always rule in the dog world. They are the top alpha. And so that I learned as well, to really feel good and support myself as a woman when I was younger, to own my leadership and to do it without apology, and to go forward with the kinds of things that were so purposeful in caring for the whole. And that was what was so remarkable with them. They were uh, just phenomenal in that level of reasonability. Lucy would eat some, then she would share. If there was, so much on the floor in their feeding area, then she would sit back and watch. And she would watch the others, and one by one, the top dog would go in and eat, and then the next one and the next one. They all made sure there was enough for everybody, because this was a free feeding area. And I wanted the puppies to learn not to fight over food. So anyway, I really gained a tremendous sense of what's valuable in leadership and self-leadership, by so many years of working with Chihuahuas and the puppies I've raised. And prior to Royal Frenchels, of course, they did it with my French bulldogs and so on. The other thing, anyway, I'll tell you that story another time. I think that's too much right now. I want to make sure we get back to anything else you wanted to touch on today, Sam. And then we're going to move to Kathleen and gut health and Arturo, who
I
both
guess to not divert to another question, because I feel like there's always so much to talk about, but just to kind of clarify your along the same topic of that distinction that you just sort of touched on with the female leadership of the Chihuahuas, how
Uh,
that is unique in terms of what we might more commonly say, well, this is what leadership should
right.
really look like. And that female leadership can be different. And I'm trying to get a little bit more clarity of your sense of that before we go on to Kathleen.
Well, I don't know because the truth is, in all my packs, bitches rule. It's a canine world. So, the alphas in the groups of dogs I have, the male walks around and it appears to people often as though the male is the alpha. Um, but in a situation where there's a challenge, the female will move in and definitely direct the show. So, so yeah, I mean, they work really well together. There's a lot of respect between them, and absolutely no doubt at all that you know, push come to shove, she is going to lead and in a situation. And the trust level of the pack was phenomenal. They always just did exactly, what her suggestions might be. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
um,
trying to think of the word for it, and it's not coming to me right now, but I'm just getting a sense of the overall picture of there being more of a sense of equality within that
oh
clear
yeah.
hierarchy.
Yeah, instead of like a hierarchy of power, right?
Yeah.
Hierarchy of purpose and
Okay,
earned
so I think that's
and
important. That's a great way
also
of saying it.
earned purpose. So, you know, people think there's a dog that comes in and it's really, really tough and all the other dogs are scared of it, et cetera, and it'll attack if a dog does something wrong. They think that's an alpha. It is so not an alpha. After living with dogs for over 50 years, and I live with a lot of them, my personal packs have been 16 dogs for years and years and years. Um, and so what happens is um, you will watch a dog with issues like that finally get challenged by a larger dog and put in its place. And you'll find that an alpha actually is an observer, and they also are quieted in a certain way. They walk through the kennel here. Of course, I'm going to refer to my environment, and their eye contact is what does everything. Eddie was the head of our kennel for over 16 years. And even after he was paralyzed from an accident that happened and he was walking around on wheels, when he walked through, everybody parted and respected him. And he never even opened his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie didn't even bark, I think, maybe, but, well, yeah, it was so rare. You almost thought he didn't bark. Let me put it that way. So yeah, they're very the idea of leading for purpose then designates roles for each member of the pack to hold, which all have an equanimity to them that is really, awesome, that cares for the whole and that is so important. And every dog has their sensibility with that, the sense of well-being in that that shows up. So they're not necessarily working so hard to be something other than what they are. Now, if they, there's a natural leadership change that happens later in life, but otherwise they move into a place of mutual respect and purposefulness together. Yeah, which is something that guides my leadership each and every day, still to this day. Yeah.
It's just the last thing I'll say before we go to Kathleen. It's it makes me think of the difference between having grace and graciousness in leadership versus um, feeling like we have to involve the ego in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I think when we focus on purpose and we're holding everything up to that mark, it will challenge ego every time
Yes.
because at some moment your ego is not going to want to lay down against the requirements of purposeful action. And you have to really train yourself to give it up for that. And
Yes.
I think that's one of the natural, most graceful processes a human being can be involved in, is that the entrepreneurial spirit drives us to metabolize our life experience and evolve in this very sweet way if we let it.
Mhm.
And it's not a tough thing. As long as you understand that that process is one you can do as a human being and that you were created to be able to do that, that the entrepreneurial spirit really is the foundation of all your evolutionary movement in life, making sure you're creating something and expressing a creative edge in life is really, really important for that purpose.
Yeah, and the nature
Yeah.
of dogs, they already have that sort of grace and humility.
Yep. Well, again, they're just focused on the focus.
Yeah.
They're not into doing other stuff unless they've had some lack of balance in their lives and they're suffering in some way. And that you want to work on. And we could certainly talk about that at some point, perhaps as a topic. But for now, we're going to move. And Samantha, thank you so much. You make it
Thanks,
so
Anahata.
easy. Yeah, you
Forward
really
to
make
what
it easy for
Kathleen has to
me.
say.
Oh, yeah. You make it so easy, Samantha, and I really do appreciate it. Now I'm going to bring in um, Kathleen Langsdale, who's part of Pottery and Dog Food Company, and she's amazing. She's been absolutely amazing for me and my kennel when we moved to, and you can get the link below for the Pottery link. And please do. I would love for you to use our link because we do make a little bit on that. That would be really helpful to us. It's not a lot. It doesn't change if you go to the other website. So if you would, we'd really appreciate that. But in the meantime, pottery has really changed my kennel's life. When we went on pottery over a 6-month period, we reduced 80% of vet visits for gut issues and allergy issues, which were the major part of why we might take a dog to the vet. All the other things are sort of normal things like a C-section or the things that take place that are part of just the natural movement and evolution of dogs in a kennel. But these things were problems. And I knew that we had a way to resolve them, but I couldn't find a dog food company that was really into it. I spent 2.25 years researching and studying, and what I found was horrendous, and we'll go over that at some other time. But I want to tell you the answer was Kathleen, who called me out of the blue and had the, let's say the balls to talk to me. And we ended up becoming friends and sharing over time. And I ended up flying myself to Dallas because even though she was remarkable and wonderful, I really wanted to verify for myself the truth that I had been hearing about. I went and spent 3.5 days on my own dime to check out the company, meet the president, have lunch with him, see all the processes, meet a nutritionist, all these phenomenal things that make it, really real for me. So I went on. Next day, I was on Pottery Dog Food in our company. Every dog in the house, I did shift them very swiftly. I just simply kept the amounts they ate smaller. And I'm telling you, within 6 months, it was extraordinary. And we were talking yesterday at lunch with Arturo, who I'm going to bring on here. And Arturo said, and I was saying, Arturo, turn around and look. We don't have gut issues anymore because we were talking about this show, right?
Mhm.
I said, we don't have gut issues anymore. What gut issues do we have? The only ones we had after 8 months of pottery were the ones that were really old dogs that had been on all the other food for all those years. And so anyway, Kathleen, welcome to have you. So happy. And Arturo Chileri, my
Hello,
right
everybody.
paw. Please share a little bit about gut health.
Well, thank you, thank you. I thank you so much for the introduction and the
Mm.
actual the story in your experience with pottery. And was putting my 10 fingers up because I've been with Pottery for 10 years. And I cannot reiterate probably any stronger than you that the changes, the positive changes in dogs with the Pottery program and the clean eating type of nutritional program is literally, it's visual. This isn't just words. You can actually see a difference. I challenge anyone when you are on another program and you choose to put your dog on Pottery, do yourself a favor and take a picture of the first day that you put your dog on Pottery.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
take a picture at a month, at 6 weeks, at 3 months. The change is incredible. And I don't want to get off the topic of gut health because, quite frankly,
And as a kennel person, as a breeder, I have to tell you, one of the great things also is that you have a lot less poop.
oh yeah,
I mean, and it's so much easier to pick up. Probably should put that in parens somewhere, a little
oh
quiet.
well, that's yeah. And I don't have a kennel, but I have a dog. And as I was telling someone today, I'm very aware of, when we started our company, we said it's all about the poop. That is literally one of the key slogans when we started. And why is that? Because it's all about gut health.
Yep.
The poop is related to the gut health. The gut
Yep.
health is related to what you're putting in the gut. So, Arturo, do you have specific questions, or would you like me to just
I
take
mean,
the floor?
I could open up with just a little bit of what I've been impressed with and what has been strikingly
Sweet girl.
concerning to me,
I'm gonna take
and
her.
what I share. Like I don't know, I know whenever somebody chooses to bring a Royal Frenchel into their family, I spend some time with them and I do some education. And the biggest thing I focus on really is gut health because and educating them about the dangers of pet food in the market. And I think that really is you know um one of the main things to pivot off of, because the problem if we're talking about the problem, is inflammation in the cells. And particularly the gut is where
Gut lining.
hardest, because that's the location where nutrition is absorbed. So if nutrition isn't being absorbed properly, then you have an issue. So I think I'll just share a little bit about the problem and then hear what you have to say about the solution with the kind of things that Pottery does. Because what I know with my training in biochemistry and chemistry is that the cells being inflamed is probably the most undisclosed or unaware aspect of health that we all have, because it's not on the outside, it's on the inside.
Right.
So you're ingesting things that are foreign to your body, preservatives and things like that. So it's no different than humans. And your little cells, your tiny, you are. I mean, we are an accumulation of cells. We're this billions of cells. So when those cells are inflamed, your body doesn't work, and that is a chronic condition over time. It's not acute. It doesn't immediately show up. So that gut health is so important, because if that location is inflamed, not that any other area is inflamed, but when that location is inflamed, we are interfering with the body's ability to get the nutrition and little compounds it needs to build itself, to grow, to be healthy, to enjoy its life, to nourish all the processes in the body. And literally, when we have a customer contact us, if a dog doesn't feel well and they're looking for guidance, the first thing Anahata does is say, do you have probiotics in your food? Are you using GastroPro Plus? And immediately we go right for that. Anything with allergies, anything with
Oh my God.
dogs not having energy, it's like boom, straight to the GastroPro Plus. And then we ask them to stay in touch with us. Within 2 weeks, typically the dog's recovered just from adding a quality probiotic to their gut and removing toxics from their input. So
I think also sometimes it's not 2 weeks. Often with larger, longer term things, it's not. However, you've been trained to take a drug and watch a response within like immediacy, right? Immediately. but that is harming your dog, hurting their liver or whatever organ it's going to injure and screwing up their system naturally. So all their natural system either gets shut off or something gets put on even more, stimulated to produce something even more. The bottom line is when you do this, when you use this, what Arturo's talking about, I've had dogs that took 5 months. They were older dogs and they required 5 months. I couldn't put them on the food, a huge amount of it in the beginning. I had to bring them along. These are customers of mine that I did this with, and it was amazing the difference. So if you are at all educated about the process of how important this gut health is, then what happens is you really, really can make a huge difference in your dog's life. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Claire.
No, that's no problem.
This is Honey Bun, by the way. This is
Sweetheart.
super micro Royal Frenchel. Look at this little
The
girl.
sweet baby.
Is
Hi,
she the
sweetie, honey bun.
little thing you ever saw? And you can see her on the Royal Frenchel website. She's a super micro and she's just the biggest love in the world. Okay, go ahead.
Well, Arturo, and both of you touched on a lot of things. Gut health, and I'm not going to get too deep into this, but the gut is a collection point of virtually anything in your body. It's a collection point of your nutrition. It's a collection point of the toxins. It's a collection point. In fact, all disease and anything that affects you is coming from the gut initially. So the number one thing you want to do is you want to protect the gut at almost any cost, because that's protecting the overall cellular biological structure of the dog and of us too. And I don't know if probably many of you out there probably would not know this, because it was pretty aha for me, but the gut lining is paper thin, tissue paper thin. Now you think about that. Think of a piece of tissue paper. And if something affects a piece of tissue paper, what happens? What can happen?
It rips.
It rips. Now, I'm not saying that every gut lining is ripping. However, what is most prominent with gut health and what we're seeing today, and we're talking more about food. So let's talk about food and the health of the gut. We are seeing that the commercial foods on the market today have been decimated, maybe month after month. I mean, for years, just companies are altering the recipe, altering it so that they don't even have to tell the consumer, number one. And what they're doing is they are adding different ingredients that still allow them to make nutritional claims on the back of the label. Okay, we're not going to get into reading labels today, but I would love to have a conversation about that. And what is happening here is these alterations and these recipe changes are causing an epidemic in this country, and it is an epidemic of gut health issues. However, the consumer doesn't know it's a gut health issue.
Right.
It comes up in chewing the paws, shaking the head, red irritated skin.
But the vets don't share anything about it.
No, they don't. They say it's an allergy.
Right.
Your dog has an allergy.
Right.
Now, allergy is a very big phrase, and it's kind of interesting because what we're talking about here today is not an allergy, but let's call it an allergy because that's how everybody recognizes it. So let's call it an allergy. What's causing this is a yeast buildup in the gut. Now imagine, try to visualize a tissue paper sack with yeast building up and building up and building up. What happens? It can't contain itself in the tissue. If you're lucky, it will seep out through the cells of that sac, and it will go into the bloodstream and in the paws and the ears and the skin. And it's funny because we ask many people, does your dog smell like Fritos or corn chips? And they're like, yes. How'd you know? Now, I know that there's a lot of articles written lately, so people are becoming more and more aware that the Frito and corn chip smell is a yeast, and they call it candida in the gut. However, that's where the GastroPro Plus, number one, GastroPro Plus will help. If you are a consumer that is determined not to change the recipe on your dog's diet, we can't make you change anything. However, by adding GastroPro Plus, it will help to control the yeast and help to get the gut healthy. But it will, and we certainly hope it will, but it's not necessarily a fix. The fix is to change the diet, to clean up the food. And it's real funny. And I can ask the Royal Frenchel team, or I can ask other breeders, or I can ask people that have been on pottery. Do your dog smell like Fritos and corn chips? And I could almost guarantee that not one person will tell me that their dogs, they're like, what? What do you mean smells? I don't smell that. I said, of course you don't, because you are not putting, you're putting a clean diet in clean food into your dog's gut. But this is a problem. There's some other things that happen, soft stools. Let's talk about that for a minute. Some people don't even realize that a mushy soft stool, we're not talking diarrhea, just soft stool, is not normal. I will tell you out there that when you're talking about gut health, remember, we said it's all about the poop. Excuse me for saying that, but it is all about the poop. The poop should look like a Tootsie Roll. If it is formed like a Tootsie Roll, you have a good poop, which means you're doing something right, whether it's in the food, the gut health, the probiotic, whatever. But if not, maybe you have a dog that has a little soft stool. That can create another problem. Oh, my dog kind of smells like fish back there. I wonder what's going, he's scooting his butt on the ground. Yes. You know what that is? That's anal glands that have not been expressed. Did anyone know that the expression of anal glands is the real way that is done is by a firm poop that naturally expresses the anal glands as the dog is going to the bathroom. So that's another reason why it's very important to have good gut health. Our probiotic pottery doesn't just affect the gut, it affects the entire digestive tract, which is
And
our
I don't know
colon,
anyone,
intestine.
I don't know anyone, Kathleen, who knew that that's the case with healthy poop, that actually the process actually engages the anal glands
Yep.
to release that. And I mean,
That's awesome.
I never learned that
True.
anywhere.
It's true.
Yeah.
Really
Yes. That is the nature's way of expressing the anal glands. Now, please
Yes.
don't ask me why they have anal glands and all that, because I couldn't tell you. I just do know. But I do know that is true. There's a couple other things. Oftentimes, dogs eat their poop. Now we're talking about poop today. You thought we were talking about the gut. Well, we kind of are. Dogs eat their poop. Did you know that dogs eat their poop? Actually, veterinarians and the pet world, the vet world really doesn't know why dogs eat their poop. That's kind of not a total mystery, but they have a few ideas. And one is that it's possible that the food has not been properly digested in the gut, so that when it comes out, it still has some nutrients and vitamins or something that the dog instinctively thinks is good. So that is another reason to keep, your dog on a good probiotic. And one of the most important things, of course, is to keep the toxins, keep the gut healthy, where the gut can actually work its magic like it is supposed to do and push out those toxins and yeast through the digestive tract and out where they need to be. Not, you don't want all those toxins and being pushed out through the cells out into the bloodstream. And the other thing is,
can I interrupt you for a second? And
sure.
It's really interesting to me to hear you share that, because, you know, one of the things that I do as a breeder, I actually, you know, I have staff, right? Because I've been a long time breeder and I have people who work here. And I have to tell you that one of the things that I consider one of our staff is the collective gut of all my dogs, because I know it's working on behalf of every issue that is more than likely could ever come up. And so I'm constantly, you know, referring to GastroPro Plus. Does this dog have GastroPro Plus? Did you put him on GastroPro Plus? How are they doing on their gastro when they start, etc.? You know, because for me, it is like the greatest guardian of our kennel's well-being, and it saves me a ton of money. I really want you to remember here that, you know, I was going to the vet with ear infections. It's one of the big reasons that inspired me to do the study on dog food companies for 2.25 years, which I got thrown out of many situations on the phone and trying to, you can take care of that. Yeah. And, you know, they didn't, everything was like, well, sorry, this is proprietary, or one thing or another. They couldn't share anything. And then when I finally met Pottery people and when I finally met Kathleen, and I decided, wait, I'm going to go myself and vet this company. I went to Dallas myself, paid my own way. I wanted to know whether all this was the real thing. And wow, it was mind-blowing. And I don't know any other place that gives you 90-day money-back guarantee. I mean, that's just crazy. You don't have to send anything back. You don't have to go through weeks about it or anything. You just have that right for 90 days. And I have to tell you, that is dedication, and that's knowledge that the sucker's going to work. Right. And so I consider the gut to be another guardian member who is the most important member of my kennel. And I look toward it every day, every single day in our kennel.
Samantha, you had a question?
I did. I had a question for Kathleen. So I was wondering kind of the order, or if there is an order. I know that sometimes with people, if you have a gut that's unhealthy, and you just start pouring supplements in, your gut isn't in a state where it can actually absorb or utilize those supplements. So you're talking about the importance of nutrition and supplements, but how do you see it? Is there an order to that? Meaning, when it comes to just starting with a very healthy diet and giving the gut time to heal and then bringing in the supplements? Or is there a state of the gut where it doesn't really absorb the supplements until it gets to at least a certain level of balance, and then it can utilize the supplements? What's your take on that?
A great question, Samantha. And you know, what in my experience and in my years, I feel like the supplement, the gastro, is the agent that starts the healing. Yeah. I recommend using the supplement, this particular supplement. I never recommend completely, let's say you're going to do supplements, a change in food, and you're going to do immunishroom, for example. Let's just say you're going to do that. I recommend starting with the supplement because it really has the live enzymes and all of the active cultures that start to heal the gut. And then I would introduce a food change. And I know Anahata did do the food shift quite quickly. However, I think that And yeah, she really did. And
Nobody
she
likes
did.
me to say that part because
Yeah, I
it's
know. It's
everybody
not
knows.
really what we're supposed to do.
But
And
I'm
yeah,
telling you that if your dog has been lacking in a lot of things, and I made my food and used a really high grade dog food, I'm not a person who tried to jip on food in my kennel. I have very high grade dogs. I don't mess around with things like that. I couldn't have the you know the respect I have gained over 50 plus years and still be around if I did that. And I just have to say that, well, that's enough, really. I mean, you know,
but yeah, I mean, but I do recommend transitioning slowly. And then if there was another supplement, maybe immunosure, maybe, I don't know, whatever else, maybe salmon oil, whatever you were. But I do believe that there is an order to, I don't, I just think you've got to start to heal the gut at first. And we didn't talk, and I don't want to go off on this today, but there is also something that is a very dangerous, serious issue due to nutrition and yeast in the gut and an unhealthy gut. Not just yeast, it can be other things, which is called leaky gut syndrome.
right.
And that is a very dangerous, and that is actually, remember I talked about the tissue paper? That gut was so unhealthy that it actually tore. And so the gut juices, things were leaking into the body, into the bloodstream. I believe it can be healed, but it's a long process. And for anyone that is listening to this, I promise you, you do not want your dog to get leaky gut syndrome because it is very difficult to number one, to diagnose. I mean, the cost to diagnose, it's ridiculous. And number two, the the having to, trying to fix that issue. If I could say another thing about an unhealthy gut and the symptoms, we talked about the yeast and this pause and this. Unfortunately, in the area of Western medicine today, veterinarians do, they might tell you that you have a yeasty dog. And the diagnosis is not, it's not, they don't talk about it coming from the gut. But
Mm.
what they're going to do is they're going to recommend usually one of three things. Sometimes an antibiotic because they'll tell you that there's an infection, and there might be, okay? There could be from the unhealthy skin. They're going to recommend steroids. That's almost a given. And then they're going to recommend either Cytopoint or Apoquel. Now,
Right.
and I will tell you, there are now studies that show, at least with Apoquel, I can't say with Cytopoint, that that's a cancer-causing agent. When your dog is on those things, you're going to find that every so often the vet's going to say, we need to do some blood work and check the liver and kidneys. And that's not because they just want to see how healthy the liver and kidneys are. It
Right.
is definitely due to the fact that these medications and these things that they give you are harmful to the liver and the kidneys.
Right.
Here is the thing that I want to speak very, very clearly about. Not one of those four items that I just mentioned will ever fix the yeast in your dog's gut.
That's
Never.
the thing.
I do not, I'm going to do my best to not get on my soapbox because I can literally get a little animated. That this is nothing more than if you had a big gash in your arm that needed 52 stitches, and the doctor said, oh, let's just put a band-aid on that. It'll get better. You can't, it's a band-aid. You are never addressing the problem. You are only addressing the symptom for a very short period of time, and then you have to go back and get more and more and more and more.
And
So,
not only that, you're really generating a huge amount of health issues because number one, gut health goes way downhill.
way down.
The
Yeah.
allergies and the misery of your dog, so they start behaving badly, and then other dogs get pissed off at them, and it's like it's this horrific cascade of really dreadful things that
Oh
happen.
yeah.
First thing, you're
yeah,
destroying your liver.
Well, I also believe that dogs are being given up. Dogs are being
Yeah.
abandoned. It is that serious. Dogs are being
Yep.
abandoned because the owner says, I can't afford this. I'm not getting them another shot. And when the dog's up chewing their paws all night and the jingle on the collar or the lick, lick, lick all night long, you know what? Mama and Papa are going, you're out of here. I'm done. We're getting rid of you.
Yeah,
Um,
awful.
Yeah.
it's there's so
And they
many
get
issues.
put down. They get put
I
down.
know, I know.
I've
So
had two
I'm just
people.
employing people to hear today because it's
Right.
gut health is so important. And
Yeah.
thank you for asking that. Maybe I haven't answered enough, Samantha, but that would be my suggestion, my recommendation.
Let me add
And
a comment.
I'll say one thing
Okay.
and then you do it. I just want to tell you that the way I did my transition with dog food made a lot of sense. I didn't just throw the new food at them. What I did was I did remove every single thing after spending 3.5 days with the Dallas group in pottery and learning everything I could learn about them, which I had also done for the previous month and a half before I went. What I did was I gave them a smaller amount of food and lots of water. So what I really did was employ a method, a strategy of giving them the adequate nutrition, lots of water, so that they could wash their system out as well as possible. I didn't have one dog that got diarrhea, not one.
It's amazing.
Never did. I mean, not one. Okay, we're talking, a large number of dogs, and not one got diarrhea. So, it really is a phenomenal product. I can't tell you the grace that it's given me in this kennel. Go ahead,
Perfect.
Tara.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add a perspective, and I so appreciate all the stuff you gave us, Kathleen, today. It's so valuable.
Absolutely.
It's really valuable. You always show up with great value for us. And the image I have of the gut being overtaken by yeast is so powerful because you really have to consider it from a microorganism perspective. So yeast is multiplying because yeast is in an environment
Yeah.
that is conducive to help it grow. It is outcompeting the local resources. It's a population taking over. So
Exactly.
you want to look at it that way, right? So
Sort
when
of
you
like immigration.
yeah, like
One,
Hold on.
Arturo, you're 100%. I didn't even mention that, but you are exactly right. And real
Right.
quick, let me mention something. When you start on the gastro and you start to attack the yeast, as Brooke Sloat, our product director, would tell you, the yeast is going to get mean and ugly and mad.
Right.
And the dog can itch more
Right.
for
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 days because the yeast is fighting, it's fighting what's healing it. And
Right.
it's also coming out. The gastro literally forces the yeast out of the gut, which
Right.
it comes out in the cells at first. So you might have a really itchy dog for a few days,
Right. So
but that's actually part of the healing.
right. So it makes so much sense. And I just love the logic of it because you really got to, I mean, when we talk about things, it's so easy to look at it from like just like an arm's length of like, oh, the yeast is taking over. But take one step closer and look at the actual process. It informs you to how to respond to it. So it makes so much sense to put the gastro in. Like, well, first of all, it makes so much sense to stop any toxicity. Like anyone who's having the poor gut health and a yeast problem, look at the food you're taking.
Right.
I'm happy for you to send it to us. I'll look at the label for you if you want, and I'll point out the holes in the label where they can tuck in different ingredients that are either fillers or toxic proteins. Most of the cheaper brands don't have 100% protein source. They use alternative means of meeting the protein requirement. So we're happy to review that. Send us a direct message. I'm happy to do that. And just know it's like you got to send in your warriors, your probiotic warriors, and your enzymes to start dealing with the problem. They have to outcompete. They have to take over the environment. Literally, they're in an environment. Yeast is taken over. You got to send in someone to take over, right? It's just how it is. So the gastro takes over. You got to stop the inflammation, stop the garbage going into the gut, and be willing to go through the change, like Kathleen's saying, that they're going to fight.
Yep.
Go through the change and know you're on the path to get your dog better, and trust the process, because there is no outcome with what she said as far as just filling your dogs up with other medicines that are just ultimately more toxics, that are going to that are going to cost their organs more inflammation and problems. So yeah, I mean, my philosophy about the whole thing is, as a dog comes into the world, they trust us, right? They trust us when they've come into our families to care for them. And as long as they're healthy, bred properly and genetically in good shape, the best that they can do, for the most part, they should be healthy and they should live well. The only thing that could interrupt that is what we give them. And we're in a world that has so much greed and crap that we have to navigate the system and make it better. And that, I believe, Pottery is doing that, and we're so happy to be part of that. And it really is. It's like, dogs thrive, and it's funny is, I went with Anahata to Dallas, and we got to meet a lot of people that were sharing stories about the healing that their dogs went through just by switching the food. And we're all, and humans look at that like, that's amazing, and it really isn't, is the truth. It really isn't. It's just give them something that works for them. Stop giving them stuff that hurts them. And and that takes a lot of work for us because it's all so masked out there. So anyways, really great topic, Kathleen. I so appreciate you bringing in the value for us. And you're muted, so just so you know, there you go.
Just thank you so much. It's always a joy to see and hear from you, and from Sam. Also, Sam, it's so good to see your beautiful face. This is really nice. I feel like I'm with the family.
It is. It's so special. It's so
great to be with you.
Yeah, and just some, and it's always fun to hang out with you guys. And I'm probably going to sign off because I have another call.
Good. All right, love. Well, you have a great day.
Hey, it's wonderful to see you, dear.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Right. So I'm just going to remind people that the show happens every week, Wednesdays at noon. And also that we have Tail Wagging Love Store on Amazon, where you can get your beautiful thermos with the 2 bowls that come off for food and water for your dog, and where you yourself can also drink out of the top as well if you want. I have a nice bonding experience with my dog in the car. I use this as my car one, and I love it. Also, last note, remember there's Mr. White AI Buddy that's going to be coming out. He's going to be called Mr. White, but he is on X at Mr. White AI Buddy. So if you want to go there, you're welcome to. Yeah, but write us down below if you want to look at being a member. Just send Mr. White to us, and we'll start collecting you. You'll be founding members, and that'll be really fun to start this massive dog community that I think will develop over the years to come, which I'm really, really looking forward to. Yeah. Well, much love to everyone.
And
Arturo, thank you.
Please, if you enjoy this content and this is really giving you value and helping you with your dog, and you want more, please like our whatever channel you're on. Just do the like or subscribe and follow things so that you get notified that we're on again. And we're going to continue this. We love doing this. So thank you so much for your attention.
All right. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Bye-bye.
Much love.
Thank you.